Greetings, students. Welcome to unit number 6. Seems a little crazy that we are this close to the end of the term, and yet here we are. Let's take a look at what we're doing in unit 6, and I've got an additional thing to show you with the assignment this week in terms of the what your final version of your paper will look like. So let's go ahead and take a look at unit 6 first. As usual, when we get this close to the end, there is a reminder that it is time to look at next term because we're almost there. So in our unit 6, you'll have a registration reminder. So it's just kind of reminding you to get ready for the next term. And then the next item is going to be our normal kind of overview. So in unit 6, we are going global as we look at multicultural voices from non-American writers. And it's interesting to notice how some of the same topics come up, how the different perspectives look, what we have in common and what we don't have in common. And of course, that's one of the reasons that we study literature is that we have those commonalities, even with people from very different cultures than we might come from. As usual, you have a whole folder with your readings and resources in it, and you've got a reading from your textbook this week, a short story by one of my favorite authors, Jhumpa Lahiri. She's fantastic. That's in your textbook, as well as the story by Jamaican author Alicia Mackenzie. I can't talk today, called Private School. Those are both in your textbook. And then we have what I consider to be one of my favorite things in the whole wide world, and that is a video from one of my actual friends in real life. I happen to be friends with the poet laureate of the British Virgin Islands. His name is Richard Georges. He is also the college president at the H. Levity Stout Community College in Tortola in the BVI. And he is a poet, an artist, a photographer, all kinds of wonderful things. And in this TED Talk, you will encounter him talking about the importance of poetry and how it relates, helps us relate to each other. So I hope you enjoy Richard. He's a treat for me. I've known him for quite a few years now, and it's always nice to be able to meet with the rich and famous. Well, he may not be that rich, but he's definitely famous. So let's go back then. Those are your readings and resources. Let's go back to Unit 6. And then we have the discussion board, which is about multicultural voices from around the world. And then the Unit 6 assignment, which is the finishing of the paper that you started last week with the topic proposals. So let's take a look first at the discussion board. What similarities do you notice between the multinational voices of this unit and the writers from the other units who represented voices within the US? So feel free to use this week's people as well as previous people. Give examples in your response and be sure to write at least 2 paragraphs, one showing similarities, one showing differences. As usual, of course, you'll be required to respond to at least 2 of your fellow classmates. And in those responses, you want to have at least one well-developed paragraph in which you respond to their observations on the similarities and differences between the global voices and the American multicultural voices that we have previously encountered. What did they notice that you might not have? How do their observations compare and contrast with your own? As usual, you can also check out the rubric here under grading information. And you need to post first in order to read what your fellow classmates have written. So all the usual things. Remember, of course, on the discussion boards, you want to post your own by the end of Wednesday, and that gives you the rest of the week to come back and comment on other people's posts. Then you have the paper, and this is the completion of the assignment that you actually started in last week's work. So in the Unit 6 assignment, you are writing an analytical research paper on August Wilson's Fences, in which you explore the theme of civil rights in the play and related criticism. You've got an assignment sheet right here, which we will click on and take a look at. I'm not going to read it to you, but just as a reminder, you really want to go through these when they're there in detail, because this is going to give you the rundown of what is required. So you'll have an APA document, as always, title page, the essay, and a references page for the play and any of the critical sources that you have used. The essay itself should be at least 5 pages long, and that includes, of course, your introductory paragraph, the body in which you focus on the play Fences, and on the themes of in civil rights movement that are contained in the play, and then, of course, a concluding paragraph. So there's no set number of paragraphs that it has to be, but you'll have for sure a single intro and conclusion paragraph, and then in the body is where you'll really get into the detail. Make sure that you have direct quotations from the play itself and that you are citing Wilson's play, and that you are also citing at least 3 other sources from our post library. Writing about works of literature, things to think about. Number 1, make sure you quote often from the literature. All quotations should be integrated into your paragraph by attaching them to a phrase or sentence of your own. You don't need to plot summarize. You want to assume that your reader, which is primarily me, is already familiar with the play, which I am. You've also got some sample essays in the textbook. Now, one thing to keep in mind about the sample essays, though, that are in our textbook, they are in MLA format, so they will look different from yours. We always use APA at Post. When you're citing the textbook, you're not just citing the textbook, you're citing August Wilson's play. So you're going to use the work from an anthology as far as how you cite that source. And we've had samples of that in previous units, so feel free to check those out. As usual, of course, you have your rubric so that you know how your grade is being determined. And then the other thing that I wanted to show you is a sample APA paper. Now, there is one of these available. This is a little bit different one, but this is a template for an APA paper. There is one in unit number 1. So you can pull this up. It's saved as a Microsoft Word document. It has the correct header. It has the correct spacing. It has all of the stuff that you will need in it. And it has some additional information about what APA papers do. Now, this is a document that was created by a friend of mine outside of Post University. So I am going to attach this and give you this document as well as the template that's already in Unit 1. But because this one has a lot of good information about how to cite sources and all that stuff, so it's something else that you can read and learn from. You will most likely not have tables. You will probably not have any pictures and things like that. So there's some stuff in here that you probably won't need to know. But as far as the paper itself, this is a great template that you can use. So I will give that to you as well as the one that is in unit number 1. And that's unit 6 in a nutshell. All right. So everybody enjoy. Feel free to let me know any messages you have for Richard Georges, and I can send them along. Like I said, it's kind of cool to know a poet laureate in a foreign country. So everybody have a great week. And if you've got any questions or problems, please, please, please reach out. Thanks, everybody. Have a great one.